Oh, that does look nice. Oh. How stupid of Giles. Oh, gosh.
Molly! Molly! Molly, where are you?
Doing all the work, you brute.
Ah, there you are. Leave it all to me. Shall I stoke the aga?
Done.
Hello, sweetheart. Ooh, your nose is cold.
Well, I've just come in.
Why, where have you been? Surely you haven't been out in all this weather.
Oh, I had to go back to the village for some stuff I'd forgotten. Did you get the, chicken in it?
Oh, wasn't the right kind. Went to another dump. That wasn't any good either. Practically a whole day wasted. Oh my god, I'm half frozen. The car was skidding like anything. Snow's coming down thick. What do you bet we're not snowed up by tomorrow?
I do hope not, if only the pipes don't freeze.
Keep the central heating all stoked up. Those are good. I do hope they send the coke along. We've not done any too much.
Do you think everything's going to go all right at first? I mean, first impressions are so important.
Well, have you got everything worked out? Nobody's arrived yet, I suppose.
No, thank goodness. I think everything's in order. Miss Barlow hooked it early, afraid of the weather, I suppose.
Oh, what a nuisance these sailor women are that leaves everything on your shoulders.
And yours. This is a partnership.
So long as you don't ask me to cook.
No, that's my department. Anyhow, I do think we do have enough tins in case we are snowed up. Giles, you really think it's going to be all right?
What, you've got cold feet? Are you sorry now we didn't sell the place when your aunt left it to you rather than having this mad idea of running it as a guest house?
No, I'm not. I love it. And talking of a guest house, look at that.
Pretty good. What?
It's a disaster. You left the S out. Monkwell instead of Mootswell.
Oh, good lord, so I did. However did I come to that? Even so, it doesn't really matter, does it? Monkwell is just as good a name.
You're a disgrace. Just go and start the central heating.
Cross that icy yard. Shall I bank it up for the night now?
You don't do that till 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
How appalling.
Just please hurry up. Somebody will arrive at any minute now.
Have you got all the rooms worked out?
Yes, it's Miss Boyle in the front four-poster, Major Metcalf, Blue Room, Miss Casewell, East Room, and Mr. Wren, Oak Room.
I wonder what all these people will be like. Wonder if we've got rent in advance.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, we're rather mugs at this game.
Darling, they bring luggage. If they don't pay, we'll just, we'll hang on to their luggage. It's quite simple.
Yes, but I can't help but thinking we ought to have taken a correspondence course in hotel keeping. Their luggage might just be bricks wrapped up in newspaper. Where should we be then?
They all wrote from very good addresses.
Yes, but that's what servants with forged references do. These people might be criminals hiding from the police.
Well, darling, I don't care what they are, so long as they pay us 7 guineas every week.
You're such a wonderful woman of business, Molly.
Then according to Scotland Yard, the crime took place at 24 Colville Street, Paddington. The murdered woman was Mrs. Maureen Ryan. In connection with the murder, the police are anxious to interview a man seen Sunday wearing a dark overcoat, light scarf, and a soft felt hat. Heavy snow is to continue, and throughout the country there will be certain...
Oh, how do you do? Thanks so much. Awful weather outside. Taxi gave up at your gate. Wouldn't attempt the drive. No sporting instinct. Are you Mrs. Ralston? How delightful. My name's Wren. How do you do, Mr. Wren? You're not at all as I pictured you. I've been thinking of you as a retired general's widow, Indian Army. I thought you'd be terribly grim and mem-snobbish. This place would be simply crammed with Benares grass. Instead, it's heavenly. Quite heavenly. That's a fake. Oh, but this table's genuine. Have you got any wax flowers or birds of paradise? I'm afraid not. What a pity. What about a sideboard? A great purple plumpy mahogany sideboard with great solid carved fruits in it. Yes, in the dining room. Through there, I simply must see it. Oh, but do come more. It's heavenly. Quite heavenly, but real bedrock respectability, but why do away with the center mahogany table? Little tables just spoil the effect.
Oh, well, we thought guests would prefer them.
This is my husband. How do you do? Terrible weather, isn't it? Brings one back to Dickens and Scrooge and that irritating Tiny Tim. So bogus. Anyway, Mrs. Ralston, you're completely right. I was being carried away by my feeling for period. If you had a center mahogany table, you'd have to have the right family around it. Stern, handsome, father with a beard, prolific, faded mother, 11 children of assorted ages, a grim governess, and somebody called Poor Harriet, the poor relation who acts as a general daughter's body and is very, very grateful for being given a good home.
Well, let me take this upstairs for you. Oak room, did you say?
Yes. I do hope it's got a four-poster with little chintz roses.
It hasn't.
I don't believe your husband is going to like me very much. How long have you been married? Are you very much in love?
We've been married just a year. Perhaps you'd like to go see your room now, Mr. Wren.
Tits off! But I do so like knowing all about people. I think people are so madly interesting. Don't you?
Well, I suppose some are and some are not.
I don't agree. I think everyone is so interesting. You never know what they're like or what they're thinking. For instance, you don't know what I'm thinking about, do you?
Not in the least. Would you like a cigarette?
No. The only people who really know what other people are like are artists, and they don't know why they know it. But if they're a painter, it comes out on the canvas.
Oh, are you a painter?
No. I'm an architect. My parents, they baptized me Christopher Wren in the hopes I'd become an architect. Christopher Wren, as good as halfway home. Of course, everyone makes jokes and makes fun about St. Paul, but who knows? I may yet have the last laugh. Chris Wren's prefab nests may yet go down in history. I am simply going to love it here. I find your wife most sympathetic.
Indeed.
And really, very beautiful.
Don't be absurd.
Now, isn't that just like an English woman? European women take compliments as a matter of course, but English women have all of their feminine spirit crushed out of them by their English husbands. There's something very boorish about English husbands.
Christopher, would you like to come see your room now?
Shall I?
Oh, yeah. Would you start the hot water boiling?
This is Muggs and Mine, I presume.
Yes.
I'm Jaws Ross. I'm Miss Boyle.
Oh, well, I'm Giles Ralston. Come into the fire, Mrs. Boyle, and get warm. Is that your only luggage?
A Major McCaff visit is seeing to it.
I'll get this car for him.
The taxi wouldn't risk coming up the drive. It stopped at the gate. We had to share a taxi from the station. There was great difficulty in getting that. Nothing ordered to meet us, it seems.
I'm so sorry. We didn't know a train would be coming by, you see. Otherwise, of course, we made sure someone was standing by.
All trains should have been met.
Let me take your coat. My wife will be down in a minute. I'll just go and give Mick out to handle the bags.
The drive might have been at least clear of snow. Most often and casual, I must say.
I'm so sorry. I was Mrs. Ralston. Yes.
Yeah, you're very young. Young? To be running an establishment of this kind, you can't have had much experience.
Well, there has to be a beginning for everything, I suppose.
See, such an experience. An old house, I haven't even got dry rot.
Certainly not.
Most people don't know they've got dry rot until it's too late to do anything about it.
Well, this house is in perfect condition.
Could do the coat of paint. You know, you've got worm in this oak.
This way, Ranger. This is my wife.
Ah! How do you do? An absolute blizzard outside. Oh, the one time we shouldn't make it. Oh, I beg your pardon. If it goes on like this, I should say you'll have 5 or 6 feet of snow by morning. not seen anything like it since I was on leave in 1940.
Let me take these upstairs for you. Which rooms did you say? Blue room and the rose room?
No, I put Mr. Wren in the rose room. He liked the 4 posters so much. So now it's Major Metcalf in the blue room and Mrs. Boyle in the old room.
Major.
Sir?
Do you have much servant difficulty here?
We have quite a good local woman that comes in from the village.
Yes, and what indoor staff?
No indoor staff, just us.
I understood this is a guest house in full running room?
Well, we're only just starting.
I would have said that a proper staff of servants was essential before opening this kind of establishment. I consider your advertisement was most misleading. May I ask if I'm the guest with Major Metcalf?
No, there are several others here.
This weather too, a blizzard, no less, all very unfortunate.
Well, we couldn't very well foresee the weather, so. The north wind doth blow, and it will bring snow. And what will the robin do then, poor thing? I so adore nursery rhymes, don't you? So tragic and macabre. That's why children like them, you know. May I introduce Mr. Wren, Mrs. Boyle?
How do you do?
This is a very beautiful house, don't you think so?
I have come to the time of life when the amenities of an establishment are more important than its appearance. If I should not have known this was my concern, I should have never come here. I understand it was fully equipped with every home comfort.
Well, there's no obligation for you to remain here if you're not satisfied, Mrs. Boyle.
No, indeed, I should not think of doing so.
If there's been any misapprehension, perhaps it would be better for you to go elsewhere. I could ring for the taxi to return. The roads are not yet blocked. We've had so many applications for rooms this month that should be quite easy to fill your place. We are raising our terms next month.
I'm not going to leave before I have tried this place is like. You need then you can turn me out now. Perhaps you would take me up to my bedroom, Mrs. Wilson.
Certainly, Mrs. Boyle. Darling, you are wonderful. I think that's a perfectly horrible woman. I'd love to see you turn her out in the snow. Serve her right.
That's a pleasure I've got to forego, I'm afraid. Oh, Lord, there's another of them. Come in.
Afraid my car's bogged down about half a mile down the road. Ran into a drift.
Here, let me take this. Any more stuff in the car?
No, I travel light. I'm glad to see you have a good fire going.
Oh, Mr. Wren, Miss...
Casewell.
My wife will be down in a minute.
No hurry, gotta get myself thawed out. Looks as though we're gonna be snowed up. Weather forecast says heavy falls are expected and motorists are warned. I hope we've got plenty of provisions in.
Oh, yes, my wife's an excellent manager. In any case, we can always eat our hens.
Before we start eating each other, eh?
Any interesting news in the paper, aside from the weather?
Usual political crisis and a rather juicy murder.
Murder? I like murder.
You seem to think it was a homicidal maniac. Strangled a woman somewhere near Paddington. Sex maniac, I suppose.
Doesn't say much, does it? Police are anxious to interview a man seen in the vicinity of Culver Street. Medium height, indeterminate build, wearing a darkish overcoat, light scarf, and a soft felt hat. Police messages to this effect have been broadcast throughout the day.
Not a very useful description. Pretty well fit anyone, couldn't it?
When it says the police are anxious to interview someone, is that a polite way of hinting that he's the murderer?
Could be.
Who was the woman who was murdered?
Mrs. Lyon. Mrs. Maureen Lyon.
Young or old?
It doesn't say. Doesn't seem to have been a robbery.
I told you, sex maniac.
Oh, Miss Casewell, this is my wife, Molly.
How do you do?
It's an awful night. Would you like to come see your room? There's hot water if you like a bath.
You're right, I would.
Little Jack Horner sat in the corner eating Christmas pie. Put in his thumb, pulled out a plum, and said, "What a good boy am I!" Let's read on things. Major Metcalf is very nice. He won't be much trouble. It's just Mrs. Boyle really frightens me. We must have a good dinner. I was thinking of opening tin of minced beef, cereal, tin of peas, mashed potatoes. We also have stewed peas and custard for dessert. Does that sound all right to you?
Yeah, I suppose so. Not very original, perhaps.
But do let me help! I so adore cooking. What about an omelet? You've got eggs, haven't you?
Yes, we have lots of eggs. We keep lots of fowls. They don't lay as well as they used to, but yes, we put down a lot of eggs.
And if you have a bottle of cheap, any type wine, you could add it to the minced beef and cereals, did you say? Mm-hmm. Give it a continental flavor. Show me where your kitchen is and what you got, and I dare say I shall have an inspiration.
Come on!
Oh, this is so fun.
And I dare say I'll have an
Isn't he sweet? Oh, he's got an apron on and he's getting all the things together. He says not to come back for a half an hour and he'll have everything done. Darling, if our guests want to do all the cooking, that's going to save us a lot of trouble.
Why on earth did you give him the best room?
I told you, he liked the four-poster.
We like the P4 poster. Twerp.
Giles?
I've got no use for that kind. You didn't handle his bags, I did.
Oh, had they got books in it?
It had no weight at all. If you ask me, there was nothing inside them. He's probably one of those young men who go about bilking hotel keys.
Oh, I don't believe it. I like him. Besides, I do think Miss Caswell's rather peculiar, don't you?
Terrible female. If she is a female.
It just seems rather hard that all our guests should be either odd or unpleasant. I do like Major Metcalf, don't you?
Probably drinks.
Really? You think so?
No, I don't. I was just feeling rather depressed. Well, in any case, we know the worst of them now. They've all arrived.
Who could that be?
Hopefully the Coma Street murderer.
Don't!
Where am I?
This is Monkswell Manor Guest House.
Ah, but what stupendous good fortune. A guest house. Charming hostess. My Rolls Royce alas has run into snowdrift. Blinding snow everywhere. I do not know where I am. I think to myself, perhaps I shall freeze to death. So I take up my little bag and I step into the snow. I see before me big iron gates. A habitation! I am saved. Twice I fall through the snow as I come up your drive. I arrive and immediately despair turns to joy. You can let me have a room, yes?
Yes.
I'm afraid it's rather small.
Naturally, you have other guests.
Well, we've only just opened this place as a guest house today, so we're still rather new at it.
Charming.
What about your luggage?
That is of no consequence. I have locked the car securely.
Yes, but wouldn't it be better to get it in?
No. I can assure you on a night such as this, there will be no thieves abroad. And as for me, my wants are simple. I have all that I need here in this little bag. Yes, all that I need.
Well, you better get thoroughly warm. I'll see about your room. I'm afraid it's rather cold since it faces north, but all the others are occupied.
You have several other guests then?
Yes, there's Miss Boyle, Major Metcalf, Miss Caswell, a young man named Christopher Wren, and now there's you.
Yes, the unexpected guest. The guest that you did not invite. The guest who just came out of nowhere. Out of the storm. It sounds quite dramatic, does it not? Who am I? You do not know. Where do I come from? You do not know. Me, I am the man of mystery. But now I tell you this. After tonight, we are cut off from civilization. By tomorrow, perhaps, even already, it is just us. No butcher, no baker, no milkman, no postman, no daily papers. Nobody and nothing but ourselves. That is admirable, admirable. It could not suit me better. My name, by the way, is Palavicini.
Oh, yes, ours is Ralston.
Mr. and Mrs. Ralston? And this is Monkswell Manor Guest House. Good, you said. Monkswell Manor Guest House. Perfect. Perfect.
I consider it most dishonest not to have told me they're only just starting this place.
Everything has to have a beginning, you know. Excellent breakfast this morning. Good coffee, scrambled eggs, homemade marmalade, and all nicely served, too. Little woman does it all herself.
Amateurs. There should be a proper staff.
Excellent lunch, too.
Corned beef.
Ah, but very well disguised corned beef. Red wine in it. Miss Ralston promised to make a pie for us tonight.
The radiators are not really hot. I shall speak about it.
Very comfortable beds, too. At least mine was. I hope yours was, too.
It was quite adequate. I don't see why the best bedroom was given to that very peculiar young man.
Got here ahead of us. First come, first served.
From the advertisement, I got quite a different impression of what this place would be like. A comfortable writing room and a larger place altogether with bridge and other amenities.
A regular old Tabby's delight.
I beg your pardon?
I mean, yes, I quite see what you mean.
No, really. I shan't stay here long.
No, I don't suppose you will.
Really, that is a very peculiar young man. Unbalanced mentally, I shouldn't wonder.
Think he's escaped from a lunatic asylum?
I shouldn't be all surprised.
Giles!
Yeah?
Okay. Could you shovel the snow away from the back door again?
Coming.
I'll give you a hand. What? Good exercise. Must have exercise.
I'm so sorry. Alright. Really, what an incredible young woman. Doesn't she know anything about housework? Wearing a carpet sweeper through the front halls. Aren't there any backstairs?
Oh yes, very nice backstairs too. Very convenient if there were to be a fire.
Then why not use them? Anyway, all the housework should be done this morning, before lunch.
I'd rather gather our hostess had to cook our lunch.
All very haphazard and amateurish, there should be a proper staff.
Hard to get nowadays, isn't it?
Now, indeed, the lower classes have no idea of their responsibilities.
Poor old lower classes got a bit between their teeth, haven't they?
I gather you are a socialist?
I wouldn't say that. I'm not a red, just a pale pink. I don't bother myself much with politics. I live abroad.
Suppose conditions are much easier abroad.
I don't have to cook and clean as I gather most of you do in this poor country.
This country has sadly gone downhill. Not what it used to be. I sold my house last year. Everything was too difficult.
Hotels and guest houses are much easier.
Did you solve some of one's problems? Are you over in England for long?
Till I've finished what I came here to do, then I shall go back.
To Italy?
No.
France?
No.
Would you mind not having that quiet on so loud? I find the radio rather distracting. One more trying to write letters.
Oh, do you?
I don't particularly want to listen just now.
Oh, it's my favorite music.
Oh.
There's a writing table in there.
I know, but it's much warmer in here.
Much warmer, I agree. Somebody old bitch.
Oh, hello. Wherever I go, that woman seems to hunt me down. And then she glares at me. Positively glares.
Would you mind bringing it down a bit?
Better?
Oh, it served its purpose.
What purpose?
Tactics, boy.
Oh, you mean her.
She pinched the best chair. I've got it now.
You drove her out. I'm glad. I'm very glad. Let's think of things we can do to annoy her, shall we? I do wish she'd go away from here.
In this, not a hope.
But when the snow melts.
Oh, when the snow melts, many of things may have happened.
Yes, I suppose that's true.
Snow's very beautiful, isn't it? So peaceful and pure. It makes one forget things.
Doesn't make me forget.
How fierce you sound.
I was thinking,
What sort of thinking?
one thin, ragged blanket, a child shivering cold with fear.
My dear, it sounds too grim. What is it, a novel?
You didn't know I was a writer, did you?
Are you?
Sorry to disappoint you, actually I'm not.
Hello, this is Maxwell Manor Guest House. How may I help you? No, Mr. Ralston is not actually available to speak at the telephone just now. Yes, this is Mrs. Ralston speaking. Wait, who? Berkshire Police. Yes, of course, Superintendent Hogben. I'm afraid that's rather impossible. Well, we're snowed up. Yes, quite snowed up. The roads are impassable. That is all very well and good. I do not see how he'd ever get here. Well, if you insist, but I... Hello? Hello?
Molly, you know there's another state.
Giles, the police have just turned up.
Trouble with the police, eh? Serving liquor without a license?
They said that they're sending an inspector or something over here.
You'll never get here.
That's what I told them, but they seemed quite confident that he would.
Nonsense, even a Jeep couldn't get through today. Anyway, what's it all about?
That's what I asked, but they wouldn't say. They just said that I was to impress upon my husband that he was to listen to, Sergeant Trotter, I believe it was, and to follow his directions implicitly. Isn't that extraordinary?
What on earth do you think we've done?
Could it be those nylons from Gibraltar?
I did remember to get the wireless license, didn't I?
Yes, that's in the kitchen dresser.
I had a rather close shave with the car the other day, and it was entirely the other fellow's fault.
Well, we must have done something.
Well, I expect it's got something to do with running this place. We probably ignore some tin pot regulation of some ministry or other. Frankly, can't avoid it nowadays.
I do wish we never would have started this place. Now we're going to be snowed up for days, and everyone's cross, and we're going to go through our entire reserve of tins.
Cheer up, cheer up, cheer up, yep. Everything's gonna be all right in the moment. I've filled all the coal scuttles, and I've done the hens, and I've stoked the aga, and I've brought in the wood. I'll go and do the boiler next, chop some kindling. You know, Molly, come to think of it, it must be something pretty serious to have sent a sergeant trekking out and all this. It's something very urgent.
Ah, there you are, Mr. Ralston. Did you know central heating in the library is practically stone cold?
Sorry, Mrs. Boyle, we're a bit short of coke.
I am paying 7 guineas a week here. 7 guineas, and I do not want to freeze.
I'm going to stoke it up.
Mr. Ralston, if you don't mind my saying so, those very extraordinary young men you have staying here. His manners and his ties, and does he ever brush his hair?
Well, he's an extremely brilliant young architect.
I beg your pardon?
Christopher Wren. He's an architect.
My dear young woman, I have naturally heard of Sir Christopher Wren. Of course he was an architect. He built St. Paul's. You young people seem to think there's no one educated but yourselves.
I meant this Wren. His name is Christopher. His parents named him that because they'd hoped he'd be an architect. And he is, or nearly one, so it worked out all right.
Sounds a fishy story to me. I would make some inquiries of him if I were you. What do you know of him?
Just as much as I know about you, Mrs. Boyle, which is that you're both paying me 7 guineas every week. And that's all I really need to know, isn't it? And all that concerns me? You know, it doesn't really matter to me whether I like my guests or whether I don't.
You are young and inexperienced. and she welcomes him advice from someone more knowledgeable than yourself. And what about this foreigner?
Yes, what about him?
You were expecting him, were you?
To turn away a bona fide traveler is against the law, Mrs. Boyle. You, of all people, should know that.
Why do you say that?
Oh, weren't you a magistrate sitting on the bench, Mrs. Boyle?
All I say is his tree, or whatever you call himself, seems to me...
Beware, dear lady. You talk of the devil, and here he is.
I didn't hear you come in.
I came in on tiptoe, like this. No one ever hears me if I do not want them to. I find this very amusing.
Indeed.
Now, there was a young
Well, I
lady-
must get on with my letters. I'll feel a bit warmer in the drawing room.
My charming hostess looks upset. What is it, dear lady?
It's just everything's rather difficult to see this morning because of the snow.
Yes, snow does make things difficult. Or else, it makes them easy. Yes, very easy.
I don't know what you mean.
It seems there's quite a lot you do not know. For instance, I don't think you know much about running a guest house, do you?
Well, I dare say we don't, but we meant to make a go of it.
Bravo, bravo.
And I'm not such a very bad cook.
You are without a doubt an enchanting cook. Might I give you a little word of warning, Mrs. Ralston? You and your husband must not be so trusting, you know. Have you references with these guests of yours?
Is that usual? I always thought people just came.
It is advisable to know a little about the people who sleep under your roof. Take, for example, myself. I turned up saying my car has overturned in a snowdrift. What do you know of me? Nothing at all. I may be a thief, a robber, a fugitive from justice, a madman, even a murderer. You see? And perhaps you know just as little of your other guests.
Well, as far as Mrs. Boyle goes,
The drawing room is far too cold to sit in. I shall not my letters in here.
Allow me to check the fire for you.
Mrs. Ralston, is your husband about? I'm afraid the pipes in the downstairs cloakroom are frozen.
what an awful day! Oh! First the police, now the pipes. Great.
Police?
Police, did you say?
Yes, they rung up just now saying that they're sending a sergeant or something over. I don't see how he'll ever get here.
Where did Coke's 1.5 stones? Price. Is anything the matter?
I hear the police are on their way here. Why?
Oh, it's all right. The roads are all banked up. The drifts are 5 feet deep. No one's getting here today. If I may put these down.
Are you Mr. Ralston?
Yes?
Detective Sergeant Trotter, Berkshire Police. If I might get these skis off and stow them somewhere.
Yeah, come around to the front door and I'll meet you.
Thank you, sir.
I suppose that's what we pay our police force for nowadays. Go around and enjoy themselves at winter sports.
Why did you phone for the police, Mrs. Ralston?
I didn't.
Who is that man? He'd passed by the drawing room window all over skis and looking terribly hardy.
Believe it or not, but that is a policeman. A policeman skiing.
Detective Sergeant Trotter.
Good afternoon.
You can't be a sergeant. You're too young.
I'm not quite as young as I look, madam.
But terribly hardy.
Let's go stow those under the stairs for you.
Yes, have to.
Excuse me, Mrs. Ralston, but may I use your telephone?
Of course, Mr. Metcalf.
He's very attractive, isn't he? I always think policemen are so very attractive.
No brains. You can see that at a glance.
Hello? Hello? Miss Ralston, this telephone is dead. Quite dead.
Well, it was all right just half an hour ago.
The line's gone with the way of the snow, I suppose.
So we're quite cut off now. Quite cut off. That's funny, isn't it?
I don't see anything to laugh at.
No, indeed.
Ah, it's a private joke of my own. Fist?
The sleuth is returning.
Now we can get to business. Mr. Ralston? Mrs. Ralston?
Would you like to see us alone? If so, we can go into the library.
No, it'll save time if everybody is present.
Do hurry up and tell us. What have we done?
Oh, no, it's nothing of that matter, madam. It's more a matter of police protection, if you understand my meaning.
Police protection?
It relates to the death of Mrs. Lyne, Mrs. Maureen Lyne of 24 Culver Street, London, West 2, who was found strangled yesterday evening, the 15th instant. May have heard or read about the case?
Yes, I heard on the wireless that the woman who was strangled.
Yes, that's the one. Now, the first thing I want to know is if either of you were acquainted with this Mrs. Lyne.
Never heard of her.
You might have known of her under the name of Lyne. Lyne wasn't her real name. She had a police background and her fingerprints were on file, so we were able to identify her with ease. Her real name was Maureen Stanning. Her husband was a farmer, John Stanning, who resided at Longridge Farm, not too far from here.
Longridge Farm? Isn't that where those children...
Yes, the Longridge Farm case.
3 children.
That's right, miss. The Corrigans. 2 boys and a girl, brought before the courts and in need of protection. A home was found for them with the Stannings at Longridge Farm. One of the children subsequently died as a result of the criminal neglect and persistent ill treatment they faced there. The case made a bit of a sensation at the time.
It was horrible.
The Stannings were sentenced to terms of imprisonment. Stanning died in prison. Mrs. Stanning served her sentence and was duly released. Yesterday, as I said, she was found strangled at 24 Culver Street.
Who did it?
I'm coming to that, madam. Now, at the scene of the crime, we found a notebook. In it was written 2 addresses. One was 24 Culver Street. The other was Monkswell Manor.
What?
That's why, upon receiving this information from Scotland Yard, Superintendent Hogman thought it imperative to have somebody here on the spot and find if any connection between this house or anyone in this house and what went down at Longridge Farm.
There's nothing. No connection. It must be coincidence.
Superintendent Hogman doesn't think it a coincidence, sir. He would have come himself if it had been in any way possible. Given the current weather circumstances, and as I can ski, he sent me with instructions to get full particulars of everyone in this house, to report back by phone, and to take what measures I thought necessary to ensure the safety of this household.
Safety? What danger does he think we're in? Good Lord, he's not suggesting someone's going to get killed here.
Now, I don't want to frighten any of the ladies, but frankly, yes, that is the idea.
But why?
That's what I'm here to find out.
The whole thing's crazy.
Yes, sir. It's because it's crazy that it's dangerous.
Nonsense.
I must say, it does seem a bit far-fetched.
I think it's wonderful.
Is there anything you're not telling us, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am. Now, in the notebook we found, below the 2 addresses was written 3 blind mice. On the bottom of the dead woman, we found a note saying, "This is the first." A drawing of 3 little mice and a bar of music. The tune was that of the nursery rhyme, 3 Blind Mice. You know how it goes. 3 blind mice.
3 blind mice, see how they run. They all ran after the farmers. That's horrible.
There were 3 children, and one died?
Yes, the youngest.
Well, what happened to the other 2?
The girl was adopted by someone. We haven't been able to trace her present whereabouts. The elder boy would now be about 22. Deserted from the army and hasn't been heard from since. According to the army psychologist, was definitely schizophrenic. A bit queer in the head, that's to say.
And they think it was he who killed Miss Lyne, Miss Stanning.
Yes.
And that he's a homicidal maniac, and he's going to come here and try to kill someone. Why?
That's what I've got to find out from you. Now you state, sir, that you yourself never had any first-hand knowledge of what went down at Longridge Farm.
No.
And the same goes for you, madam?
No. I mean, no, there's no connection.
And what about the servants?
We haven't got any servants. Which reminds me, Sergeant Trotter, would you mind horribly if I went to the kitchen? I'll be there if you need me.
Oh, no, of course, Mrs. Ralston. Now, if I could have all your names, please.
This is quite ridiculous. We're merely staying in a kind of hotel. We've only arrived yesterday. We have nothing to do with this place.
You planned to come here in advance, though. You booked your rooms beforehand?
Well, yes, I'll accept Mr.
Out of the TV. Car overturned a snowdrift.
I see. Well, what I'm getting at is that anyone who's been following you around might very well know that you were coming here. Now, there's just one thing I want to know, and I want to know it quick. Which of you is it who has that connection to Longridge Farm? You're not being very sensible, you know. One of you's in danger. Serious danger. I've got to know which one that is. All right, I'll ask you one by one. You first, since you seem to arrive here more or less by accident, Mr.
Padavicini. But, dear Inspector, I know nothing of what you've been talking about. I am but a stranger in this country. I know nothing of these local affairs of bygone years.
Mrs.
Boyle, I don't see you really. I consider it impertinent. Why on earth should I have anything to do with this such distressing business?
Miss.
Casewell, Leslie Casewell. I know nothing of Longridge Farm and have never heard of it.
You, sir.
Ah, Metcalf, Major. Read about it in the papers at the time. I was stationed in Edinburgh then. No personal knowledge.
And you?
Christopher Wren. I was a mere child at the time. I don't even remember hearing about it.
And that's all you have to say. Any of you. Well, if one of you gets murdered, you'll have yourselves to blame. Now, if I might have a look around the house.
My dears, how melodramatic. He's very attractive, isn't he? I do so admire the police, so stern and hard-boiled. Quite a thrill, this whole business. 3 blind mice. How does it go?
Really, Mr. Wren.
But don't you see? It is a joke. A madman's joke.
Melodramatic rubbish. I don't believe a word of it.
Just you wait, Mrs. Boyle, until I creep up behind you. You feel my hands on your throat.
Stop!
That'll do, Christopher. It's a poor joke. A poor joke anyway. In fact, it's not a joke at all.
It is a joke. A madman's joke. That's just what it is. That's what makes it so deliciously macabre. If you could all see your faces.
Crazy he is.
Where's Giles?
He's taking the policeman on a conducted tour of the house.
Your friend, the architect, has been acting in the most abnormal manner lately.
Young fellow seems nervy nowadays. I dare say he'll grow out of it.
Nerves? I have no patience with people who say they have nerves. I haven't got nerves.
No, perhaps that's just as well for you, Mrs. Boyle.
Why do you say that?
I think you were one of the magistrates on the bench at the time. In fact, you were responsible for sending those 3 children to Longridge Farm.
Really, Major McCaff, I can hardly be held responsible. We have reports from welfare workers. Farm people seem very nice and most anxious to have the children. Seem most satisfactory. Eggs and fresh milk and a healthy outdoors of life.
Kicks, blows, starvation, and a thoroughly vicious couple?
How was I to know? They seem very civilly spoken.
Yes. I was right. It was you.
One tries to do a public duty and all one gets is abuse.
Oh, you all must forgive me. I do find this most amusing. I enjoy myself greatly.
Never did like that man.
Where did he come from last night?
I don't know.
With a spit to me. Face of his face, too. Rouge and powder, disgusting. He must be quite old.
And yet, he skips about as though he were quite young.
You'll be wanting more wood. I'll get it.
It's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's almost dark. Turn the light on. It's better.
Now where did I leave my pen?
What a horrid little tune that is.
Don't you like it? Reminds you of your childhood, perhaps? An unhappy childhood?
I was very happy as a child.
You're lucky.
Weren't you happy?
No.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's alright, it was a long time ago, one gets over things.
I suppose so.
Or does one? Damn hard to say.
You know, they do say that what happened to you as a child matters more than anything else.
They say. Who says?
Psychologists.
A damn lot of nonsense. I have no use for psychiatrists and psychologists.
Well, I've never really had much to do with them.
It's a good thing you haven't. It's a whole lot of nonsense. Life's what you make it. Go straight ahead. Don't look back.
One can't always help just not looking back.
Nonsense. It's a matter of willpower.
Perhaps.
I know.
Well, I expect you're right. But sometimes things happen to make one remember.
Turn your back on them.
Is that really the right way? I wonder. Perhaps that's all wrong. Perhaps one really ought to face them.
It really depends on what we're talking about.
Sometimes I hardly know what I'm talking about.
Nothing from my past is going to affect me except for when I want it to.
Well, everything's all right upstairs. What's in here, drawing room?
Would you mind shutting that door? The place is full of drafts.
Sorry, madam, but I've got to get a lay of the land.
Polly, what's all this?
Well, that completes the tour. Nothing suspicious. Think I'll make my report to the superintendent now.
Oh, but you can't telephone the line's dead.
The line's dead? Since when?
Well, Major Metcalf tried it just after you arrived.
But it was all right earlier. The superintendent got through all right.
Well, yes, but I suppose since then it's gone down with the snow.
I wonder. It may have been cut.
Cut? But who could cut it?
Just how much do you know about these people staying under your roof, Mr. Ralston?
We don't really know anything about them. Mrs. Boyle wrote from a Bournemouth hotel. Major Metcalf from an address in, where was it?
Leamington.
Wren wrote from a private hotel in Hampstead. The Casewell woman from Kensington. Though Paravicini, as we told you, arrived out of the blue last night, but I do suppose they've got ration books, that sort of thing.
I shall go into all of that, of course, but there's not much to be placed on that sort of evidence.
Now, even if this homicidal maniac was on his way to kill us all, or, sorry, one of us, we're quite safe now. Because of the snow. No one can get here until it melts.
Unless he's here already.
Here already?
All your guests arrived yesterday evening, Mr. Ralston.
Yes, but...
Some hours after the murder of Mrs. Stanning. Plenty of time to get here.
Except for Mr. Paravicini, they'd all booked beforehand.
Why not, Mr. Ralston? These crimes were planned.
Crimes? There's only been one crime on Culver Street. Why are you so sure there will be another here?
That it will happen here? No. I hope to prevent that. That it will be attempted. Yes.
I can't believe it. It's so fantastic.
It isn't fantastic. It's just facts.
Didn't you have a description of what this man looked like in London?
Medium height, indeterminate build, darkish overcoat, soft felt hat, muffler worn well up, spoken whisper. There are 3 darkish overcoats hanging in the hall right now, Mr. Ralston. One of them is yours. There are 3 soft felt hats.
I still don't believe it.
You see, it's this telephone wire that worries me. It's been cut.
I must go to the vegetable stand.
Is there an extension?
I beg your pardon, did you say something?
Yes, I said, is there an extension?
Yes, up in our bedroom.
Would you go up there and try it for me?
Now, who's left this window open?
To understand what I may term as mechanics of fear, you must first understand the precise effect produced on the human mind. Imagine, for instance, that you're alone in a room. It is late in the afternoon. A door opens softly behind you.
Oh, it's you. I can't find any program worth listening to. Here, what are you doing? Why did you turn that light up?
Dark?
What a noise!
We will now take a 10-minute intermission.
Now just a moment, folks, before you get out of your seats. A murder has been committed in this house. I need your help to figure out who the culprit is. Fill a bulletin out in the hallway and tell me who you think murdered her.